Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me again today for another episode of Interviews. And today I'm very excited to be chatting with the fabulous Angie. She is super energetic and is amazing at helping entrepreneurs to get on track and just orient themselves with where they need to go to achieve their goals. So I'm going to hand over to Angie to tell us a little bit more about who she is and what she can do for you.
Hi, I'm Angie Sartori. I am a professional creative and have been for about 20 years, working through all sorts of industries from education, industry, FMCG, retail, advertising, television, radio, online, you name it, I've done it. If you need to create, I'm your guy. But over the last while, especially through lockdown, obviously working from home by myself, I realized how hard it is to create on your own. I've been quite privileged to work in big creative groups with people who are exceptionally talented and have lots of skill in creating. But when you're on your own, it's a lot harder. You can't vet those ideas. You sit there and wonder, is this a good idea? Is it a crap idea? Is it the right idea? Does it work for the market? Is this, how do we understand the dynamics of speaking to the consumer? What's going to engage with them? What really resonates with you? And all of that becomes quite difficult to do when you're all by yourself. And especially if you haven't had much experience. And I found that one of the hardest things for a lot of people discussing this with other entrepreneurs and with business people and clients is one of the hardest things is everybody's got ideas, hundreds of ideas, good ideas, all sorts of things. They're popping around. But the hard part is getting past it's in my head into it's here in front of me. So I can look at it, I can assess it, I can start to fill out all the gaps and the pieces that are missing. And there is a bit of a process like that. And it's a thing that requires life force energy. And sometimes when you're not in that space, you need someone to feed you a bit, give you a little bit of life force energy to bring whatever you're creating into this world, okay? And it's via that blank piece of paper. So I've started a service called, a creative support service that assists entrepreneurs and individuals, people who are starting their own little businesses, people who have businesses already and have ideas that they want to build on, but they're actually just not getting to them. To birth those ideas into the world by co-creating with you in a virtual space. And it doesn't matter, and there's lots of different ways. I mean, when it comes to ideas, sometimes we don't have thought of idea, but we don't really have an idea, and we need to talk that through, and you need someone to feed into it for you, especially someone who has a business and creative background, understands trends, markets, consumers, businesses, those sorts of things, and sort of flesh it out into something. In some cases, we have creative that you have an idea, but it needs to develop. You need to see what it looks like. You need to look at it from all angles, add and grow to that. And sometimes you actually have too many ideas. Yes. You've got 5 million ideas, and you don't know what to do with them. Sometimes the things with your ideas, you have obstacles between you and the idea that you need to overcome. So I've created a set of niche services and different levels of engagement for entrepreneurs, right down from a very simple 15-minute call where you get a chance to bounce your idea off me, bitch about whatever your problem is, or vent, get it out of your system so that we can move past it and find a solution, or to get you moving. Often we've got it just sitting there. You need to take action, and I can help you do that. And in various different levels, from a short version to whole packages where I'll take you through a whole development process from creation, feed into that, do research and development for you, and add into what you're doing, depending on how long a journey you want to take with me and whether we're resonating and the ideas are flowing between us. So I have a menu, which you can all check out. that explains all of those different things. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you.
So for those of you who are watching, I've been working with Angie for a few months now, and she has been really, really amazing at just helping me to navigate my way through all of my ideas. I know a lot of you out there who are watching have mentioned that you don't know where to begin. Some of you have mentioned to me, you have an idea, but you don't know what first steps to take. And what Angie has also helped me to understand is which is the right idea to put your energy behind. Because I know a lot of us have got a lot of ideas in our heads, especially if we're creative. And sometimes when there are too many ideas, it can also be a hindrance to the development process and just to the process of getting to some money to pay some bills and buy some food and do some very practical things. So I can really recommend Angie's services. She has been hugely helpful to me in the past 3 months. And I think you can benefit from speaking to her about what has got you caught up. Now, Angie, what I find interesting is that one of your products, one of the things that you do for people is allow them to bitch and vent. Do you feel that those feelings are part of what's holding us up?
It is often the case. Sometimes we get caught up in the frustration. I know I've been there 1,000 times. You get caught up in the frustration, and you want to move, but you also don't know how to move. And sometimes there's little obstacles that you're putting in front of your ability to create. Okay, you're going, oh no, but I don't have that. Well, okay, maybe there's a way around that, because creativity is also a practical process. Whatever we're doing in terms of our ideas, they need to fit into the world. And you might go, oh, this is the only way that this can happen. There's probably 50 different ways that you can do it. There are multiple ways that you can do it. Some of them cost a lot of money. Some of them cost nothing. Okay? And if we can navigate past whatever the problem is, sometimes the problem is you. Sometimes you're just in a shitty space and you're not feeling confident, or you need affirmation that the ideas that you're having are good. Or, you know, sometimes you think you're crazy. Like, is this actually a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Am I going the right way? And you get frustrated, and that all leads to frustration. And I think also a lot of people at this point, we're all dealing with a little bit of low-grade fear. Because the world is a little bit scary. There's a lot of things that need to be navigated. There's a lot of things that we need to overcome. And that builds up. And that builds up into feelings. And we need to get those feelings out of our way so that we can move past. It's the same thing with bad ideas. I have them all the time. We all have good ideas. We all have bad ideas. But you have to get the bad idea out of your system. Okay? No, I couldn't make this idea happen, out of your system, but you can move on to the next one. Because some things have legs and some things don't.
Yes.
Some things work and some things don't. And yes, that is very annoying. And also sometimes, you know, you're dealing with clients or people who are frustrating, and you have other needs who are pulling at you. And or even your own family, they're pulling at you. All sorts of things are pulling at you. And that you can't create in that space. Just like, you know, that's not the best way to go to a date. It's the same thing as the best way.
I love that analogy. Now, now, one of the things I would love for you to touch on, because I know a lot of the members of my one group come in with this idea. They're like, I want to start a business. I can't because I don't have money. I need a grant. I need funding. And that is the only way I'm going to be able to start. What would you say to those entrepreneurs?
You know, over the last while, especially over the last 2 years, I've discovered that there are lots of ways to make a living. Okay, I've had to pivot myself several times. You know, when COVID started, I was developing campaigns for big FMCG brands. Okay, but nobody goes out anymore. So, that all changed. And I had to start rethinking about what it is that I do and how that I do it, and how I can retool my skills and my abilities into something completely different. Okay, this particular offer, right, is one of the things that's come from that, and also to address needs that exist in the world. We all, this last time has introduced a whole lot of new needs for people. And if you can innovate by taking what you have, what little resources, and your skills, and just look at them a little bit differently, you can create a whole new thing that previously didn't exist, that costs next to nothing except maybe data on your phone. But you have to look at it from the other side. It's entirely possible. You can hustle your resources by, for the cup of a coffee, you can spend an hour and a half at a coffee shop and get the Wi-Fi. There are lots of ways that you can strategize around having not much or having a little bit. There's also a lot of opportunity, especially online, for international work and that sort of thing. Okay, using the resources, the free resources available, like social media, like YouTube, websites, your phone, WhatsApp. There's lots of ways that you can do things that don't necessarily mean you have to buy stock and get a product. Your product can be a service. It can be a course. Everyone's got something to teach someone. And if you can take what you can teach and structure that into some kind of course, really all you need is an internet connection, and off you go.
Yes.
Right? So there's so many different ways that you can do things. But it involves also stepping out of your current thinking. And that's part of what I do, is help you step out of your thinking and look at it from another perspective.
I love that.
Because there are plenty of opportunities.
I love that because I get quite frustrated with the group when they're so locked in this mindset that we can't start something if we don't have a chunk of money, because I've never been given a chunk of money and I've been self-employed since 1993.
It's rare you get a chunk of money. It doesn't just happen like that. And usually if someone gives you a chunk of money, it's because you've already got a chunk of money.
Yes. That's very true.
You know what? You as a person are a resource. Unless you are straight out of school, okay, you've done things, you've learned things, you have skills that other people need, right? Other people who are starting small businesses, like if you're an admin person and you've lost your job, do you know how many people, small businesses that are now opening because people are getting retrenched, the structure of things is changing, we're moving into a space where there's going to be more independent people who are working as freelancers and small businesses and various other things. That's the future. And all of those people need someone to do the admin. I'm one of them, okay? They either don't have time or they don't have the skill. So whenever you come into this with, whether it's a restart or you have something, you're changing direction and pivoting, you don't come empty.
Yes.
It's about looking at it and going, what have you got? Where are you? What is your environment? There's always an answer. There's always a way. There's always to take what you've learned, either to create something or to teach something, or to share something, to help people through a journey, whether it's you've experienced trauma and you've learned how to work through that and you can help other people. But it's about finding that within your passion and within your purpose and redirecting it. And especially when I think a lot of people don't know what's all available to them in terms of online technology, what you can actually do and or how to do it. And because it's so daunting, they go, it must be impossible because I don't know.
Yes.
Well, we need to then find people who know more than we do.
Yes.
And this is one of the things I've always found about creative. To create by yourself is an arrogance. it means you have a little bit of God complex. Because if you think everything that you do by yourself without any feedback is absolutely perfect and wonderful, then you've got a very high opinion of yourself, and I promise you it's not true. I'm not just talking about others, I'm talking about me, right? We think our stuff is, we all think our own stuff is grand, you know, but it could always be better, and we need that input, people who know other things, see other things, think other ways in order to help us shift. Because if we can shift our mind just 1/4 of 1 degree, your whole world changes, the whole perspective. And that's essentially what you need to do, is shift your thinking just like that. So you can take what you have and use it in another place. But if you don't know these other places exist, it's a lot harder to do.
So what I love about what you've just said now is that it just takes a small shift in perspective to go from I don't have enough to do this to I'm an infinite resource, and if I just ask the right people for help,
Yes,
I can get to where I need to go.
that's right. Very, very much so. Very much so.
That's amazing.
If you want to do great things, you need others.
Yes.
That is my belief, especially if you want to do big things. But in the beginning, you can start with yourself, but feed in. Get people who know things that you don't know. Ask advice. Work with others who've done it before. Because also, you know what? Active creation and creating things is a skill. When I first started, I wasn't as good as I am now. I've had 20 years of practice. Right? And once you start to get into that, it's like training your brain to think in a particular way. And once you start getting into that process about shifting, because creation is about looking at things in lots of different ways and different things and pulling out stuff from 5 different places, putting it all into one place, okay, to create something else. And if you're not used to doing that, you're used to just working in a linear space. This leads to that, this piece of paper goes there. It's hard to do it. So once you get into it, you'll be great. And it's entirely possible for everybody to do. Really, really, really. I think people don't realize how creative they really are.
Yes. Yes. I have to agree with that.
Yeah, because they haven't had practice accessing and fleshing out those ideas. Because a lot of time they don't really have the space to.
Yes.
Or they don't have the need to. But the need is now. So it's time to step up to that.
Yes.
Because
I love hearing you say the need is now. I think that is going to inspire a lot of the people watching to maybe just take those first steps that they're afraid to take.
Yeah.
So
both action. And you have to do some kind of action. Even if it's a tiny little action that involves just telling someone about your idea.
Yes. Yes. So Angie, if people want to get hold of you, where can they find you?
You can drop me a WhatsApp on 064 846 842 3901. Just send me a WhatsApp with your name and a little bit of what's your story, and then I will get back to you. Your voice note is perfect, and I will then get back to you with the process and the whole story, the whole thing from there. I am going to also give you a menu to include on the page so everyone can see what is available and what suits their pocket and what suits where they're at with their creative.
Okay, that's fantastic. And for those of you who are watching, if you didn't get that number, I will include it in the description of this video. So don't worry if you missed that number, it will be in the description of the video when I upload it on YouTube. So thank you so much for watching. And Angie, do you have any parting words for entrepreneurs out there who are feeling stuck?
I think to follow on the last thing I said, motivation follows action, not the other way. So I know you're feeling down. I know you feel stuck and you're not going somewhere. If you want to get out of that space, you need to take an action, no matter how small it is, in order to move. And once you start to see a little bit of progress, or you start to see, hey, this thing has moved a little bit, then that motivation comes and the process of getting out of the mud happens. So, you know, it's just a choice to start.
Mm. I love that because I think we're all doing it backwards. I so often hear people say, I need to get motivated to start. And I love hearing you say that action leads to motivation. That is such an important insight. Thank you so much for leaving us with those really, really powerful parting words today. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you.